Alabama's got a chance at redemption this weekend, and I'll tell you something. Jimmy and I think they're going to kick butt.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I'll tell you about FanDuel in a bit. Thank you for making us your first listen every day, and thank you, everydayers and newbies, for joining us right now. We appreciate you so much. You guys really are the best. We appreciate y'all. Even when you disagree with us or we disagree with you, we love you. Also, quick shout out to Academy Sports. There on Highway 280. It's open now, but Jimmy and I'll be there tomorrow at 9:00. Please show up. You get a shot at some free gift cards. I'll tell you about it more
Free
later.
money. That's what that is. Free money.
Free money. And you can meet Jimmy and me. And if you want to tell us how dumb we are, or if you want to tell us how awesome we are, we'd appreciate that a little more. So come see us 9:00 tomorrow.
The thing better than the dumb thing, but the dumb thing is fine.
The dumb thing is fine. We're both married. We've heard it before. All right,
of course we have.
All right, USC Light coming up this weekend at 11:00. I want to ask first, what's the injury story here? Kendrick Law specifically.
Kendrick Law looks pretty good. He's been practicing. He's been, I think, either a full go or mostly a full go. Per Kalen DeBoer, he is on track to play Saturday. I think Kobe Prentice is also on track to play Saturday. We will not see Yanze Pierre. He has a more serious injury. He's out for sure. I don't think this is a long-term thing with Pierre. I think it's more he's not going to play this week, and next week probably not either. But then, some off weeks coming up soon, and then we'll see after that. But Pierre's been kind of the fourth wolf, to be honest. So you'd think you could get by without a fourth wolf. One guy who wasn't on the injury report, Luke, that I'm real curious about is Justin Jefferson. Didn't play at all last week, coming off an injury. Didn't play at all. I expected to see him on the availability report, even if things look good. I expected him to be questionable, probable. He wasn't on it. So there's only one way to really take that, in my opinion, and that's that Justin Jefferson's a full go. And that's big. We didn't talk about that enough last week, but with Lawson and Campbell both struggling a little bit last week, might have been helpful if a Justin Jefferson could have come in and given those guys a breather, or at least giving them a look from the sideline. Hey, this is what they're doing. This is what it looks like. Watch Justin, and we didn't have that. Really had to play Lawson and Campbell every snap. And frankly, they both had their worst games, I think, that I may have ever seen both of them play, really. And I think for whatever reason, that triple option attack got them on their heels a little bit, and they couldn't recover.
Yeah, and the good news is South Carolina is not going to have a quarterback as dynamic as Vanderbilt's.
Yep.
Boy, it feels so weird to say, boy, good thing we're not playing somebody like Vanderbilt again. But it is what it is, and we've moved on. And the one thing that has helped me get over the loss to Vanderbilt, besides the fact that it's a 12-team playoff now and it's not as big of an effect, is that if I just said, okay, flip-flop Georgia and Vanderbilt, I'd feel fine. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if we lost to Georgia and beaten Vanderbilt.
1-1 through that 2-game stretch, sure.
Right. And granted, once we beat Georgia, you felt like we should be 2-0, obviously, but it is what it is. And I think all you can do now is try and make it where we're 1-0 after this Saturday.
People make too much of, hey, we're included. We're both guilty of this. Both of us are. And I think almost everyone listening is. Success is not a permanent label. Once at beating Georgia was tremendously a successful campaign, but then it was over. It was over. That was over. Same way with Vanderbilt. That was a failure. That is also not permanent. Alabama's not a permanent. The very same team that failed against Vanderbilt was successful against Georgia. Just goes to show that neither successful nor failure is a permanent label for you to carry around in season. There's a lot of football left to be played. We've seen enough good things to be optimistic about what might happen. But I think building some confidence and turning this into a wave of good things and good fortune has to start now, though. You want to play well now.
And you know what? Again, you hate to have to use a game like this as some kind of a wake-up call, right? But maybe it is a wake-up call. Maybe it is a, come to Jesus moment for Keelan DeBoer and the whole staff. And because I can't help but think that after the Georgia game, they're like, hey, this is a little easier than we thought, even though it got tight in the Georgia game towards the end. I mean, you got to approach every game with a new attitude, no matter who it is in this conference specifically. When you get a dynamic quarterback, you can do some magical things. Alabama's lost to some dynamic quarterbacks who were much inferior to Alabama at every other position in the past, even under Nick Saban. But I wanted to tell you this, Jimmy. Douglas Hallstrom emailed me and asked about something he wanted to ask you about. He said, could you address Alabama's 3-3-5 defense on your show and discuss whether it's a poor scheme? It seems like Alabama generates no pass rush off this scheme. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think that there obviously was not a good pass rush last week. I don't think we had a sack. That being said, I think Vanderbilt did a good job of getting the ball out quickly pretty often. The closest we came to a sack was on the long touchdown on 4th down, where he just heaved one and the guy caught it on his fingertips. It was just a heck of a play. And we nailed Pavia on that play. But, pass rush is going to have to improve this week. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I wouldn't – first of all, it is a really good question. I think it's sort of the question of the week, and I think it's fair to ask is Womack's 3-3-5. Some people call it a 4-2-5. To me, it's 3-3-5 because of the personnel. There's 3 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers. To me, that's 3-3, even if sometimes there's a 4-man front. Alabama lined up in a 5-man front against Vanderbilt some. No one's calling it a 5-1 defense, but regardless. I don't think that the pass rush should be judged on what Alabama did to defend a triple option offense. I mean, you don't sack the Navy quarterback often. You don't sack the Army quarterback often. Your first and foremost goal when you're defending Vanderbilt is dealing with their triple option. It's not to create pass rush on the 3rd and longs, because let me tell you, if you blitz, you send the house, you put everything into a pass rush against an option team, they're going to bust a big play on you in the run game almost easily. I don't think that was the game to judge Alabama's pass rush. I think other games are, and Alabama's pass rush has been okay. It's not good enough, but I'll give you one example. Against Georgia, they sacked Beck 3 times. That doesn't sound like a lot, but a year ago with the old defense, they only sacked Beck twice. So I don't think all is lost with this Alabama pass rusher, that it's terrible. I just wouldn't judge it based on the plan they came up with to defend a triple option offense.
Yeah, it really is difficult. Just like, when Alabama played, I think it was Army back in the '88 Sun Bowl, if I remember right. Derrick Thomas had to block a field goal to win that. I wouldn't judge Alabama's defense on that particular game. It's a little bit wonky. It's a little bit different. But
Pavia is also hard to sack. One time, LT Overton had him dead to rights, and Pavia's little spin move back there made LT just fall down. I mean, he's hard to corral, and I don't think we've given him enough credit for how good he is. He's the tight quarterback that lifts the play of everyone around him. And I'd been blowing off the Manziel talk, and I still do. He's not Johnny Manziel. But he's enough like Manziel to where I sort of get it. And SEC Network put those two together in an interview.
That was nice.
It was good to see. And Pavia also handled, I thought, the Malachi Moore stuff like a pro. Really appreciate it.
Let's also end with that on this segment, that kudos to Malachi Moore. Look, everybody was killing him for a little bit, and he acted like a pill. He did. But he owned it. He came back and apologized, and that's what I think a leader does. And look, we all learn every day, right? We all have gone off at a time when we're very frustrated and we feel like things should be different. Should he kick the football away from the official? No. Should he throw his mouthpiece? No. Should he refuse to get off the field when the coach tells him? No, of course not. But when you do something like that and it's done, kind of like this Vanderbilt loss is done. Talking about how bad some of the aspects of it were won't make the game change, won't make the result change. What you can do is get better. And so Malachi Moore, just like Alabama, they both have a shot to prove themselves this weekend. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Bold prediction. Malachi Moore has a great play, fumble recovery, interception, something like that. A big sack. I'm going to bet you Malachi Moore does something this weekend. And, if you want to go see Alabama play South Carolina this weekend, then you want to use Game Time. I got a buddy of mine named Chris. He's going to take his daughter, and he texted me. He and I were going to watch the game together, I think, this weekend. But he said, my daughter wants to go to the game now. And so I'm going to use Game Time. He said, I'm downloading the app now. And I said, be sure and use that promo code, bruh. And so I told him the promo code is Locked On College. He's going to download it, get $20 off that first order, and he's going to be able to see where he wants to sit. I looked at Game Time just to see what the price would be. Incredibly reasonable prices for an Alabama game, and you get $20 off, and that's even better. And you'll be able to see the view that you'll have from your seat. That means a lot. And Game Time is very reputable. Their customer service is second to none. I've used them multiple times, as you've heard me talk about a gazillion times. And go download the Game Time app today. You won't be sorry. Now, I want to tell you about Academy. Okay, Jimmy and I will be there tomorrow.
Very excited.
At 9:00. It's going to be fun. Come by, see us. You get a shot at some gift cards. Everybody that's over 18, the first 150 people that come in when the store opens at 9 will get a mystery gift card that'll range between $20 and $500. You might be the lucky cat that gets the $500 gift card. Then you can buy all the Alabama shirts you want.
Or a Yeti cooler. That's the first thing I'm looking at when I walk in that store. I'm thinking about walking out with a Yeti tomorrow. I mean, I've got a Yeti, but I want a different Yeti. Academy carries Yeti, and I'm checking it out.
I don't know if we get a gift card, though. If we don't, I'm going to wear a fake mustache and just say my name is Guy Incognito and see if they'll give me one. But look, I want to do this live read real quick. It's here. Birmingham proudly invites you to the new Academy Sports and Outdoors store, now open at US Highway 280, 4610 US Highway 280. And it's right there at the old Best Buy, right there in that Target shopping center near Chick-fil-A. If you know anything about Birmingham and 280, you know exactly where I'm talking about. It's across from that car wash that a lot of people go to. It's very easy to get there. Target shopping center on Highway 280. You can't miss it. Don't miss this celebration. Don't miss Jimmy and me being there. Please come and see us. I mean, seriously, even if you don't like us, come and see us and get some free money. Get some free money.
If you do like us, though, definitely come see us. We need the do like us to slightly outnumber the don't like us. Sorry.
That's very fair. No, that's very fair. I like the do versus don't like us thing.
I would like some sort of a good number, like for every one person that doesn't like us, 2 like us. And that would be
I was thinking much higher than that. Jeez.
I don't want to ask for too much. I've learned to ask for too much. It just blows up in your face.
Very fair. Okay, so wanted to talk a little recruiting right now. Turbo Rogers will be taking a visit to Georgia this weekend. It's an official visit. He still hadn't taken an official visit to Alabama, apparently, like an official visit.
His sister goes to school at Alabama, by the way.
Interesting. But, and of course, you talked about yesterday, Alabama looking at Harry Dalton, I believe.
Yeah, what a cool name. Doesn't he sound like a character in a novel?
I mean, I think you're thinking Harry Potter, and Harry Dalton sounds like Harry Potter's less interesting cousin.
What about Harry Potter and Dalton from Roadhouse? And wouldn't that make a good movie? Like if you somehow managed to cross make a Harry Potter and Harry Potter and the Harry Potter and the Magic Bouncer.
Yes, like oh, your magic has no effect on me. Yeah, but this guy can knock your teeth out. So how about that? So Turbo Rogers officially visiting Georgia tells me a couple of things. First of all, I think Alabama's right to continue recruiting running backs. They offered a 27 running back. We won't really get into that because it is 2027. But
Baylor school.
Mm-hmm. And he's originally from Quebec, I noticed.
Man, so was that isn't that running back they got right now the same way? The 25 running back from the Baylor school that's going to Ole Miss? Alabama took a long look at him. I think he's from up there in Canada.
Well, you can't stop that Quebec to Chattanooga pipeline. Anyway, so Turbo Rogers officially visiting Georgia, keeping an eye on Ohio State. It tells me a couple of things. First of all, there are some people that were like not completely sold on him, but Georgia and Ohio State seem to, at least they're flirting with him. I don't know if they're like falling over themselves.
You don't give official visits to just anyone. You've only got a certain number to give. Most teams, now Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama can almost afford to do this, but you generally don't give official visits to kids who aren't takes. It happens. It does happen. I'm not sitting here saying that's 100% of the time, but most of the time your official visit guys are takes because you don't have an unlimited number of official visits to give away. So if Ohio State and Georgia like him, there's a lot to like here. But my viewpoint on it, though, Luke, is look, there's a lot of Alabama fans that think, boy, Alabama hasn't really pressed on Turbo. Well, Turbo hasn't really pressed on Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going on these other visits. I think if Turbo, I wouldn't know, but I would think if Turbo didn't go on visits and told Alabama, I'm shutting it down, it's Alabama for me, then I think running back would be over with Deere and Turbo. That's my take. I don't know that that's 100% correct, but heck, we won't know if that's true or not because Turbo keeps going on visits.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for not coming to South Carolina at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I don't blame Alabama for saying this is not the game we want you here for. And I guess I don't blame him for going to Georgia, but it's Georgia, Mississippi State this weekend, and Mississippi State's probably the worst team in the league this year. So, and Georgia's this is a get right game for them. So I just find it a little interesting. The other recruiting tidbit that's out there, Colorado has reached out to Keelan Russell, and but he's apparently shutting it down. I mean, his dad made some comments to Joseph Hastings, who he talked with from Bama Online, and said basically Alabama fans have nothing to worry about. I'm telling you, I think Keelan Russell is the man. I think this is going to be the signature Kalen DeBoer signee. This is his dude. Sort of like, I mean, I guess you could say there were a few signature signees for Saban back in the day. I mean, you could certainly argue Julio Jones. I mean, that would probably be most everybody's choice. But I think Mark Ingram would have to be in the discussion because he ended up winning the Heisman, and he is Captain Gump now. So, but I think Keelan Russell is going to end up being that guy for
Hall of Fame Gump Hall of Fame,
Bama extraordinaire, all those things.
Did you know that the baseball team is in fall practice? This is funny for those that don't know this, so this will be great. You'll like this. So the baseball team is scrimmaging right now. They do something that they call their World Series. I mean, which is just basically they have this. They split into two teams and play each other all through the fall. And the two teams, they got to pick their own name. And one team, I believe, picked the Yellowhammers, which is cool because that's the Yellowhammers. But the other team, they're the Gumps. They like it.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, Alabama fall baseball, the scrimmages, which by the way are open to the public, and one is Friday night at 6:45. The scrimmages are the Gumps versus the Yellowhammers.
I dig it. I mean, look, I could certainly buy it. I mean, I wish I'd thought of it sooner. If we didn't have Talking Tuscaloosa back in the day, which spawned this podcast, we probably would have been called Gumptastic or something. I don't know.
Really?
Lots of gumption.
Gump, though. Something with Gump in it would have been good if the people didn't sue us.
Donald Gump? Is that too political? Donald Gump and the Kabammer Harrises. I don't know. Does that work? Does that cover all my bases?
I do think having a Gump in the title would be pretty good.
Okay. I need to tell everybody about FanDuel because it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. I don't have to tell you. Well, I am. I'm going to tell you, but I don't have to. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So $200 in guaranteed bets with a $5 bet. That's like free money from Academy that we're talking about. But that's at FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sports book, and you are gonna love it. All right, Jimmy, again, tomorrow we'll be at Academy. We'll do our prediction show from Academy tomorrow and just talk about, predictions for the Bama game. We'll do obviously predictions for other SEC games and just all the way around because it's going to be a big weekend. And now we are going to have some visitors this weekend. I don't think it's going to be like a huge list of dudes, but there will be some folks here this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Anytime Alabama's got a home game, they're going to have unofficial visitors every time. So, it'll be a thing for prospects. 11 a.m. is tough, though, for people who don't know. Just think about it. I mean, these kids play games Friday night in their hometowns, and then an 11 a.m. kick the next day in Tuscaloosa. That's pretty tough. Even if you're in Birmingham, that's kind of tough if you played Friday night. So probably not the most well-attended game, but there will be prospects there, as always.
We didn't talk. We normally do this every week, and we didn't really get to it. And I feel like even though it's sort of turned the page, I want to do it. We usually talk about Alabama and NFL because there's so many NFL dudes to talk about. And I think we got to give a shout out to Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry now 100 touchdowns in the NFL. He also has over 10,000 yards.
Not a lot of backs have those two numbers, by the way. This is just more slam dunk Hall of Fame stuff for Derrick.
Yeah, and I know we've said this before, and if you listen to the podcast, we said we've got a lot of new listeners since last week because we lost and we gained a lot of subscribers. So I want to say it again that I for the life of me, I don't understand why many people don't put Derrick Henry in the Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson, and I'll say Darren McFadden category. I love Darren McFadden. But Derrick Henry has been as dominant a player on every level as those guys have been, no doubt about it. In fact, he's been more dominant as a pro.
If there was halls of fame for each three level, Derrick would be in all three, and so few can say that. Obviously, a Hall of Fame high school running back because he rushed for more yards at the time than any running back in the history of high school football in the U.S. So you've got to put him in the Hall of Fame there. Running back Hall of Fame in college because he won the Heisman Trophy. How few backs have won the Heisman Trophy since in the 2000s? How few have? He has, and a 2,000-yard season to go along with it. So he's a college football Hall of Fame, and he is definitely going to be elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame with his 100 rushing touchdowns and 10,000 yards, and he ain't done. It's obvious watching him just this week. He ain't done. He's still going to be putting up numbers. Derrick, Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, very few running backs out there can say that they belong in all three halls of fame. Derrick does, and he needs to get a ton of credit for that. And I think it's getting to the point where, I love so many other players too, but it's hard not to pick Derrick as the best player of the Saban era. I mean, it's very difficult not to pick Derrick, because of all that he achieved at Alabama and in the NFL.
No, I totally agree. I mean, and the fact that, his story is he was committed to Georgia and we flipped him. And then you have morons like me that when he got there, I vividly remember sitting in a friend of mine's box. And my friend was like, hey, God, it was late in the game. We were playing Arkansas and we were blowing them out. And he said, here comes Derrick Henry. I said, yeah, I think eventually he's going to go to linebacker, though. The next play, he goes 80 for a score. And I said, and he said, boy, that's a heck of a run for a linebacker. I said, I know. I just need to quit talking. I
was more sold on him as a running back at that point than I was than you were. But earlier I literally asked an Alabama coach. I did. And I remember his answer to me too. I asked an Alabama coach, is the plan for Derrick to be like an H-back? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
And I remember his answer, which was pretty brilliant, especially in light of what we just talked. This coach told me, well, he's probably the best high school running back of all time. Let's give him a chance to see if he might be the best. Let's give him a chance to see if he might be the best college running back of all time. That's what he told me. And
that's very fair. And here's the other thing.
I know that stuff sounds so ridiculous right now. People listening going, God, these morons. At people that weren't around in 2013 don't remember.
They don't know.
It was common. Most Alabama fans online or on social media, most thought Derrick was going to play another position.
There's no doubt.
We weren't outliers. We were sort of the mainstream. But I got good sources up there. And I knew after Derrick got on campus, I knew very quickly after he got on campus, he was always going to be a running back.
He hit a high speed this past week of like 21 miles an hour again. I mean, for a 30-year-old, 250-pound dude, that's absolutely ridiculous. And I would look, it's not the most impactful run in NFL history. His run against the Jaguars for 99 yards when he played for Tennessee. And granted, it was two not very good teams, if I remember right, but it was a Thursday night game. I had him on my fantasy team. He goes 99 yards. He stiff arms Miles, what's his name, from UCLA into next year. He outruns two other people. It's one of the best runs in NFL history. I mean, it'll go when he is inducted in the Hall of Fame. That run will be played a few times because it's unbelievable. And it's a shame that he was drafted by the Titans. It's another shame he was drafted in the second round. That is criminal. But it's a shame he was drafted by the Titans, who had DeMarco Murray when he first got there. They traded for him, and they just never really used him right. And now he's with Baltimore. And here's the very fun thing: if you're an Alabama fan, Baltimore, Washington this weekend. Washington's got Bammers all over the place. Jonathan Allen and Verdarian Mathis and who else they got? They got Deron Payne. They got a bunch of Bammers. So that's going to be a good matchup, and that's going to be
the QB matchup is going to inspire all the Spider-Man meme. The Spider-Man. The two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. That's the Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels matchup. That is going to be a great game. Hey, one thing I'll throw in, we didn't cover it, just caught my eye this morning. Jim Nagy in Senior Bowl put out a midseason All-American, first team All-American, offense, defense, special teams. And first of all, I'll say Tyler Booker made it. So this is a first team All-American as selected by Jim Nagy and his Senior Bowl people. Tyler Booker, first team All-American. James Burnip, first team All-American as a punter. So shout out to those two. And I'll say this, just throw this in because I think Alabama fans will find this interesting. Keep in mind, Nagy's Senior Bowl All-American team is filled with guys that he would like to have in the Senior Bowl. He's not going to put a true freshman in there because that player's 2 years at least. Juniors can play in the Senior Bowl now, by the way. Juniors can play. Draft-eligible players can play in the Senior Bowl. So he's only going to include draft-eligible players and players most considered likely to be in this draft. So, for instance, Alabama center Parker Brailsford, redshirt sophomore, kind of undersized. I don't think the NFL is a big option for Brailsford now, but I think a year from now, when he's a little bigger, we'll be talking about that. But not now. But I'll say that because Nagy's first-team All-American center is Seth McLaughlin. So Seth's obviously playing well at Ohio State.
Well, he is, but I'll tell you, I did watch him the other day. Boy, I forget who he was against, but he had a couple of bad snaps, and I was thinking, but now they have an interesting game against Oregon this weekend, nighttime on NBC of all channels.
That's new football there. That game would be on NBC because Big Ten primetime Saturday night. But
thank God
hey, I'm sort of probably a lot of Alabama fans don't. I do. I'm rooting for Seth. I hope he's worked through.
Yeah, me too.
One of the reasons I find it easier to root for Seth, by the way, is because Alabama's center situation is great. I love it.
It's better. It's better.
Brailsford's playing great, and so in that sense, Seth is not missed. But I knew if Seth got past his yips situation with the snaps, that he'd be good. That's why a program as big as Ohio State wanted him. And so anyway, when that caught my eye, I'm like, that'll be interesting tidbit on the show. Cam Ward, by the way, was his quarterback and not Jalen Milroe, although I'm sure that was a difficult decision to make between those two.
That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow live from Academy Sports, 4610 US Highway 280. Come see us 9 o'clock in the morning. You get those free mystery gift cards if you're one of the first 150 people. Please come and see us.
We should be on the air around 8:30, right? 8:30 live. We'll be on the air.
I think we're going to go on the air a little early. Yeah, I think so. And then we're just going to sort of roll it in. Yeah. And you know what we may do, but it depends on how it works out. Honestly, this is all new to us. We've never done a location thing like this. We're going to see how it goes, but we may just be there like meeting and greeting. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll see. Regardless, come and see us 9 o'clock, US Highway 280, the Target Shopping Center. You can't miss it. Academy Sports. Come and get you some stuff, bruh. We will see you then. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.